So anyway, we've got some great stuff coming up, and that leads us to our next speaker.
I am happy to introduce Sarah Potter. She's one of our sponsors with You Can Trade, which is an online trading education provider that they want to help you reach that next level. They offer daily live trading, instant trade alerts, live coaching, streaming trading channels, and this is for all asset classes, all styles of trading.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. So there is something literally for everyone. Sarah's the president of You Can Trade, and she's author of the book, How You Can Trade Like a Pro. And she is a sought-out market expert. You've probably seen her, media on CNBC, Yahoo Finance, Forbes.com. She mainly trades options, futures, and stocks, and shares her exact trades, entries, and exits on You Can Trade. So today, Sarah is going to focus on ways to buy call options with efficiency, discovering ways to identify the probability of a trade, identify which stock may be ready to move, and streamlining how to determine which options to buy. Sarah,
Awesome.
if you can mic yourself there. Let's see.
All right. Hi. Thanks for that intro. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Hi, Sarah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to share my screen, right?
All right. We will stay here with you till we see everything working. I do. And Sarah, you can take it away. We'll be staying here in case you need a helping hand, but we're going to sign off the video.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. And thank you to everybody here for coming today. It's great to have you here. I'm so excited. I love trading live, but I love talking to other people as well. So I'm incredibly happy to be here, and thank you for spending our time trading. And we are going to go through a presentation today, but I actually placed a trade. So one of the trade setups we're going to discuss today is one I have live on right now, and I'm making money in that trade right now. So I want to not only move through this presentation for you today, but I also want to show you the actual trade. And if we can get out of it together, we will. And if you decide that that's something for you, you are welcome as well. And I'm going to talk through that. So I have that one thing I'm saying that out loud for a reason is because I think anytime anyone is wanting to learn something, learning concepts is fantastic, but also getting to see something live happening in the moment is also incredibly valuable. Also leads directly into being very efficient when it comes to time in your market. So I wanted to make sure that I am mentioning that to you also so we can go back and check through the presentation. So as we move through the presentation today, I know that you're going to come up with questions, and I want to thank you for those. And I'm going to make sure there's lots of time at the end here to answer the questions you might have. And I would encourage you to do that. And yeah, let's get started. Let's have some fun and let's trade together. So just as Pat had mentioned, I am the president of youcantrade.com. So on You Can Trade, there are lots of different coaches that are all trading live every day. I already started trading live this morning. I am going to talk to you today specifically about options trading and how to be efficient as possible, but I would be remiss not to talk about risk. And, you know, everyone always wants to talk about the reward, but you know what? Trading has risk and it has reward, and it's important that we're always putting it out there because I want everybody who is trading to know that, you know, no shiny object tomorrow is going to make you $1 million. However, trading for a living is one of the most satisfying, fantastic things you can do if you choose to do that. Trading as a side hustle is also an incredible feeling. Why? Because you look at the market, you make those decisions, and you made that money. Trust me, it feels really good. When I first started trading, I started with a very, very small account. I had aspirations of being, you know, everybody wants to be a millionaire, and I wanted to do the same thing. But where I started then and where I am now is two very different places. So depending on where you are in your journey of trading, I want to acknowledge that there's certainly a range, and there's probably a range of people here today that have different experiences. When I first started trading was about wine, which is pretty funny that tonight we have a wine event. When I first started trading, my goal by Friday was to make sure that I could still have a bottle of wine to drink on Friday nights. Obviously with somebody. I don't want to make myself sound like an alcoholic, but I do enjoy my wine. And so I traded in a way that I would reward myself by Friday. I had either made enough money by Friday to buy an expensive bottle of wine that I was going to enjoy, or I had a crappy week of trading. I was still going to buy wine, but it wasn't going to be as expensive. And I start off that analogy because sometimes trading is hard, but you never want to be trading in a place where it's affecting, your life savings and it's all gone. Like you have to be smart when we first start trading and understanding that trading is a skill. It's absolutely something that everybody can learn. But when you start thinking about trading, about what happens if I just want to make a little bit extra money every week, how would that feel? Does that actually take some of the pressure off of trading and investing? Sure, we all want to get to the really big goal at the end. We all do. But it doesn't start there. It starts with small, manageable goals. And one of mine was, by Friday, how well did I do and what could I afford to buy? And then it was about, making some money to go out for dinner and then buying some things, some clothes that I wanted. And I don't know if that sounds superficial or not, but I think it's so important to say because that's real, right? When I first started, I just wanted to make a little bit of extra money on the side. And then once I figured it out, I'm like, oh, okay. It's easy to scale things up once you've got it figured out. But that takes the ability to learn, to be there, to show up, and to trade. Now, I've got a bunch of photos here on my slide. And these are just kind of some different snapshots of the reality of who I am today. But I want to acknowledge that you are all very busy as well, and I understand that. And as much fun as it is to trade all day long, every day, that's probably not your reality. And that wasn't my reality at the beginning of my journey of trading either. When I first started trading, I woke up early in the morning before my full-time job, and I would watch the euro. And I started trading in futures. And I traded it just before I went to work. And I put that time in and said, okay, I'm just going to learn. I want to learn down here. And then from futures, I started dabbling into options. And I dabbled into options a little bit because it gave me a little bit more time and flexibility. I was allowed to, I could afford to go do some meetings and to check in on something afterwards. I certainly don't want to be teaching you how to trade while you're working. I'll leave that for you to do. But there are opportunities in the markets for everyone, depending on how much time you have in the market, how much time you want to put into learning something to do. But because the markets are 24 hours, because there's so many different asset classes and there's so many different styles of trading with risk, I think there's something for everybody. And I actually think, I did a TEDx talk on this. I actually think that if we did teach more people how to make money with the money they had, we would actually have a very different world. But that's for a whole other conversation. Your time is valuable. And so if you're not new to trading and you've been doing this for a long time, what you have learned is that there are key pieces that are so important that if I don't have a lot of time during the day, how do I still manage to get trades in? My story means that every day I trade live with my members at You Can Trade today. But I also run the business of You Can Trade. And I am a very busy mom to 2 young girls. And I do a lot of media appearances, a lot of speaking engagements because I love doing that stuff. I do book signing events because it's about connecting with other people who have done this as well. Trading is the most fantastic thing and can actually be very efficient as long as you learn that there are certain areas that you want to be efficient in the market, and there are other areas that you really want to spend attention, a little bit more time with. So one of the key things that I want to share with you today is specific to time-saving stock. So when I was thinking about this presentation, what can I do that's the most impactful, the most meaningful for you? What can I give something that says, you know what, the market's open, I want to go and try something. This is my most efficient thing here that I want to share with you. So I am an options trader, depending on what you trade. I looked back at many of my trades, which, by the way, at You Can Trade, I text out my trades, entries, exits, and weekly summary, so you know exactly how I did on the trades. You get that to your phone all the time. And when I look back at the trades that I have placed most recently, these are the stocks that I trade most frequently. And my number one fave there is trading SPY. SPY I do every week. And while I can't promise you that every week, it's not morally right for me to say it will always work every single week. It been proven over the years that I've been doing this trade setup that it is generally pretty successful, and it's working right now too, because I have a live trade on in SPY right now. So these are the stocks that I love to, that I just jump to. So if I'm busy with the kids, or I'm busy with work, or I just want to go for a run and do something else, these are the stocks that I'm going to jump to right away and say, is there a trade setup in here? And most of the time I will trade them differently. So you'll notice that I have in MasterCard in particular, this stock is volatile. This stock is a financial, obviously very going to be very attuned to what's happening in the markets and what's happening in our economy. This is very impactful. But MasterCard, because it is volatile, loves to trend, has a really nice intraday move. And because it's expensive enough, I can trade spreads. I can buy debit spreads, or I can sell credit spreads in this. If I don't have a lot of time that week to be in front of a computer, I'm going to do a credit spread. If I want to take advantage of a bit more move on MasterCard, I'm going to do a debit spread. And if I do have lots of time and I actually can sit in front of a computer that day to trade, then I'm going to put on a call in this. So it's incredibly flexible. Tesla is a stock that I like to trade very much with credit spreads. Because it's so expensive, there's no need for me to get involved with the direction. A credit spread here will give me that little bit more consistent approach that I look for in the market. JP Morgan is fantastic directionally, but again, because of how volatile it is and how volatile it has been lately, this has been a really nice opportunity to put all sorts of different trade setups on, depending on what it's doing for the day. I think everybody would say that they all love to watch Apple. Apple is just a good mover, and Apple can trend so well. It's easy to see where things are going in that one. And then Amazon is such a beast of a stock. It's so expensive. I only trade credit spreads in this. I just take premium off. I sell a credit spread in the same week of expiry. I generally trade Amazon on a Wednesday or a Thursday with a credit spread with a Friday expiry. I generally trade this out of the money somewhere in a delta of about 15 to 20. So there's a bit of a trade setup for you there in Amazon, but that is a nice weekly trade setup that I do here. Now, directionally, these are the stocks that I seem to jump to. Notice the difference here with MasterCard and Visa. MasterCard and Visa both move beautifully, but the price of those stocks are different. So I think you want to manage your risk differently in each of those stocks. So in Visa, I will generally buy, whether I'm buying a target call or I'm buying an in-the-money call in Visa, but I might do a spread in MasterCard. And it's just the price difference of what those options cost. Now, you guys are all trading differently, but what I find as well in terms of time efficiency is I'm always very aware of how much those options cost for me to get into. Because I believe that in order to make trading accessible for everybody, my responsibility is to show people trades in a way that is probably more accessible for the average human being who's trading. My assumption is that most of you are not managing multi-billion-dollar funds. Maybe some of you are. But I want to be trading in stocks or trading in options in a manner where hopefully it is more accessible for people. And let me explain. When I trade an option, especially in the trading room, I generally don't want to ever buy something that costs more than about $5 or $6. The $10 risk, or anything above $5 generally in terms of a risk is too much for me. Why? Because I have other things going on during the day. I can't afford to lose that much. I know it doesn't make sense to me to do that. So I trade options to do it in a way that I can leverage a bit of being invested in some of these stocks without the risk. I used to coin myself a corduroy trader, and specific to one trade setup. I called it a corduroy trade setup. And I did that because when I'm trading, I am not looking to hit it out of the park. I am looking to trade as consistently as I can. So I want to be the old reliable. I want to be the something that you're always coming back to because it's something that you can find every day, something that is accessible for as many people as possible. And so I guess that's where it kind of came from, is I'm never going to be on a fashion runway in Paris, but I could be your comfy jeans or your corduroy pants, the good old stuff that feels good to wear. It's the same kind of style I'm doing when I'm trading. It's all about how can I come back to the market with the small time I have during a day, find a trade efficiently, do something that's not crazy risk, and do it with my real money, and enjoy my bottle of wine by Friday. So that's kind of who I am in a nutshell. Okay, what we're going to get into in a little more detail today, I've shared with you some stocks that I like, but I really want to get into my SPY trade setup with you, because if there's, anything that I'd love you to walk away with is to test this out. Now, of course, I need to preface that, trading is an individual decision. You want to make sure that this matches your risk and you understand the trade setup. But I don't think it's fair to talk to you just high level about education and concepts. I want to give you something because all of our time is really valuable. So I want to walk away with that with you. I'm going to talk to you about where in the market, what times during the day where it's my time. When I had my children, who are now, knock on wood, both in school. I managed to get both off to school. My youngest is in kindergarten this year. She actually started kindergarten. Amazing. Both of my girls traded with me when they were babies on my lap. My second daughter I started trading with her when she was 4 days old. So I am all about trying to be as efficient as you can in the market because you don't have a lot of time to waste. So I'm going to talk to you about mummy's trading time, the time that I need to be in front of the market. And then I want to give you some of the pieces that when I'm looking at a chart or I'm scanning a stock really quick to decide if I want to trade, what are the things that I'm going to right away? And those are the pieces that in 20 seconds or less, I'm going to make a decision to say, yep, I'm going to trade this, or nope, that's a waste of my time and I'm moving on. I did give you guys a little bit of the crux of who I am. I am a TEDx speaker as well. You can Google my TEDx talk. I am the president of You Can Trade. I'm basically on a mission to help break down the barriers of trading so that everybody can feel empowered to learn the skills they need to trade. At You Can Trade, I have multiple coaches. I am one of them. I have lots of coaches that are all in our network. You can pick the coach that you like, that connects with you, but coaches are always trading with their real money. We are always showing our actual entries and exits as well as summary. And we also have course offerings. Why? Because it's so important that people learn what they need to learn and see what they need to see to trade. I am the author of the book, How You Can Trade Like a Pro. And just as Pat said, I do a lot of media appearances. I am also a proud mom. And the thing I'm most proud of is that my girls, I have two, one is 4 and one is now 7. Both of them have been trading with me since they were born. I was trading before they were born. But my girls know things like CMG is Chipotle. In fact, when we go out to eat, they don't know Chipotle is Chipotle. They ask it as CMG. Can we go to CMG for lunch? I've tried my best to integrate financial literacy in their world. And for them, trading is just second nature. And I hope that as they get older, I am instilling this skill set. This is absolutely achievable for you to do. And I want them to do that. When my eldest was learning how to write, I would write stock symbols with her. One, it was shorter, right? So it was achievable for her. But when we started having conversations, especially through COVID, as she was home, we would have conversations about, let's build a watch list today. Let's look for stocks that are moving in a direction. We can teach these things to kids as well as us adults. At the end of the day, any trade is really about identifying something moving in 3 directions: up, sideways, and down. That's it. And then once you decide what direction it's going, then you apply whatever trade setup you use. And I've been using the same old trade setups for years because, again, it's about being efficient. It's about being the genes that I can and being reliable as much as possible and looking to manage the risk and reward in the market. All right, I'm going to move right over to my charts now. So if you can just confirm that you can see them. I'm assuming you can because I moved it on the same screen. But this is SPY. Oh, and I'm not making money right now. Look at that. Well, I guess I'm making a little. There you guys can see. Making $8.50 on this trade right now. I was making more earlier, but that's okay. Let me take you through this trade setup in particular. As I said, I did place it this morning. And I also need to say to you, this is a live open trade for me right now, and I am by no means trying to, do anything here other than to share real knowledge with you. And I think that's really important. So this is how I trade SPY. One, you can take this trade setup and apply it in the ES, the futures contract. You can trade it in SPX. You can trade it in SPY. You can do the micros. You can do options on micro E-minis. There are so many choices to adapting this trade setup to whatever way you like to trade and whatever time you have. I like SPY for a number of reasons. One, just because of how it moves, the price it costs to get into the trade, and I like the risk profile of SPY. If I have time to sit in front of the computer all day, I will take the same trade and put it in the ES and do it in a futures trade. It's just how much time do you have that week to place the trade. When I'm trading it in SPY, if you have a pen, I'm just going to give you some look fors and actual setups that I'm using. So I will always trade this trade. It's a call. I will buy a call in this when the market is trending higher. I'll show you the setup in a moment. But the option I'm buying is always 1 week out. So today is Thursday. So I need to trade. I'm not going to buy an option that expires tomorrow. I'm going to buy an option that expires the following week. And so if next week I went and looked at this trade on a Tuesday, I wouldn't trade it with a Friday expiry. I would trade it with the following Friday expiry. So I'm always going 1 week out further. I do that as my little bit of safety net. Just in case I'm wrong, I want to be able to hold the trade a couple of days without too much theta decay affecting or influencing the trade. You can certainly shorten this up. You could trade it with an expiry of Friday of the same week if you wanted to. You'd want to also be considerate of day trading rules here, depending on how much money you have in your account, right? And of course, that changes the risk profile because the cost that you are placing to place this trade is going to be less when you have fewer days of expiry. But what you're trading off is you're saying, well, I'm going to have fewer days to hit it, but I need to hit that target. Whereas I like to place the trade and say, well, if I hit my target, fantastic. Today, great. If I don't hit my target today, but I can afford to hold the trade a couple of days just to see, because I'm, maybe I was just a day or two too soon. I like to have that ability to just kind of hold it a little bit and give it a little bit of a chance, a little bit of a breathing room. So I always take the week out. Now, I don't go any further than that in my testing. If I go out too far past the 1 week, I've kind of lost the point of the trade. Because the point of the trade was to be able to capitalize on the momentum of a move that week. And that's another reason why I'm not going to place this trade on a Monday. I have never successfully placed this trade on a Monday. It works well on a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday towards the end of the week. Why? Because if I move over here to my charts, this is a daily chart in SPY. It's very important for me to see what has happened the days previous of that same week. And what I want to make sure is there's been no change that week from the overall trend. So we haven't had a week where price has pushed down through support. So this week, if we look at yesterday here, the day before, and the day before. So there's 3 bars there. They've all stayed above support. Oops. Oh, use the other marker. There you go. So they've all stayed above this level of support here. Okay, so let me just explain what these things are, because I'm going to move into a bit of technical analysis now on the charts. This is exactly what I trade with every day. I use a weekly, a daily, a 60-minute, and a 5-minute chart. The easiest thing that I look for, like even when I teach my little kids, that you want to look for the overall direction of what's going on. If I look on a weekly chart from left to right, the market's moving higher. Now, from the daily chart, I don't have a clean trend in SPY right now, right? Because right now this is moving down, but lately it's kind of been moving back up again. And what we actually have from a technical analysis point of view, I always refer to things as shapes, like look for letters, look for, and I don't know, maybe it's because my kids are little, but it's a V, right? You can see the letter V in the daily chart. A V pattern, when there's a sharp bottom and we're moving back up, generally means that there is going to be a stronger move. There's strength there. That was a strong pivot point where things will start to bounce back. We also have no resistance. So there's nothing up here keeping price away from moving higher. And there's nothing up here on a weekly chart. And there's, well, 60-minute chart price is just up because it's up so much today. But there's nothing, there's no resistance right now. So that's a good thing for my trade. So far in SPY, I have a nice trend on a weekly chart. So I have 1 point. I don't have a trend on a daily chart. However, I have a V. If I have a V or a U, I can make that work. So I have a V. A U shape on a daily chart is also okay. And I have no resistance. So I've got 3 things going for me in terms of evidence setting up nicely in this trade. So I'm happy with it. Over the last 3 days, because I said I generally want to have a Monday and Tuesday of the market open. And then I'm going to let things play out and see how things are moving later in the week. So as I let things open up for the beginning of the week, I'm looking to see, are support levels holding on the daily chart? Are things actually moving? Are we seeing higher highs or lower lows? Is something actually happening in the market? Because I can't place this trade unless the market's moving. And has anything major shifted or changed? Because I want there to be this, I mean, if something's going to blow up, we're going to have a huge move to the upside already at the beginning of the week, the chances are the market's going to be tired. And so it's not going to have enough energy to get through 5 days of a giant move. So maybe the moves already happened that week. So I won't place the trade just yet, right? Think about us as people too, right? You can only go so long for a really hard run, and then eventually you get tired. Or if anything you're doing, like you can only stay awake so long before eventually you have to go to sleep. And I think the market's the same way. The market is going to build up energy. And when the energy explodes, obviously we want to be placing trade in that. But if you miss it and you notice that the market already has had a big move that week, I think it's actually better to not trade this setup then and say, okay, I'm going to wait again for next week. Because each week is a new week for the market. That's the beautiful thing about trading, right? Like trading is so great because if I get it right, I make money. Fantastic. If I get it wrong, I lose money. Yeah, that's crappy. But I always have another opportunity tomorrow. And I always want people to be trading in a way where you always have that ability to trade again if you don't get it right. That's why I think risk is so important when you're thinking about what you want to trade. Okay, so we've got some good things here setting up on SPY, hence why I placed the trade. Now, when I was going through this trade setup this morning as well in my trading channel, where I share my trades and you see exactly me getting in, you get the text alert, we had a gap today. And this was the risk on this trade setup, placing the trade today. In a perfect scenario, the SPY trade would actually be placed once price fills the gap on a 5-minute chart. You can always wait, which means the call that I bought is going to be cheaper to get in at that point. And that's fine too. And that's kind of looks like what's happening now. I'm not worried about the trade until we have the price of SPY get down below 340. Remember, I have 6 days to hit the target on this. So if it doesn't hit the target today, I'm okay with that because I've got 6 days to get this to go. And what I'm needing to do is to get up a little bit higher than where we are. Oh my God, I didn't even tell you guys what the trade was. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Let me get you that so you can see it. Okay, so what I traded, like full disclosure, these are the 2 positions I have on and neither of them are working. I'm sure you wanted me to come on here. This one was working great this morning. But you know what, this is trading, like this is real life, right? Okay, so I have a 342 call in SPY. I always buy at the money. So wherever a SPY is, when I'm going to enter the trade, that's where I want to buy. Ideally, so that delta, I want it to be right around 50. I want to take it out for the following week's expiry. In this example, it's next week. And if it's the Wednesday, it's not this Friday, it's the following Friday. That's my rule on what I'm going to do and look for. Let me show you the options chain now because the markets are live, which is really helpful. Okay, so this is my Options Station Pro, and you're actually seeing the live trade. You're seeing SPY. You're seeing expires October 16th. And you're seeing the delta here is still actually sitting nicely around delta 50. But what I was looking for and what I love is when we have everything combined on the charts as we did with some key pieces here in the options chain, which is open interest. My open interest is supporting my trade theory because if I look down on the call side for the biggest number, something that's really large, look what I see. Bam, 142,000, almost 143,000 of open interest sitting up at 350 strike in SPY. That says to me that there is, one, going to be priced in for more of a movement than we've seen so far. Okay. So that helped support the trade that I wanted to get into by getting into a call that has open interest, a really high number, a lot higher than everything else, that is set higher than where my target is for the trade. It helps my assumption that this will continue to go higher. Now, this is for the week that I traded it, which is the 5 days out. What I also wanted to do is I needed to come in and go to the same week expiry in the options chain and now look to see if I have the same thing. Do I have a really high level of open interest in a strike that would support my position of assuming that the underlying will go higher? So if I go back to the same 350 strike and I move down in here, I actually have more really nice big open interest up here at that same level. You also have around where I traded it, you also have open interest here. Now, of course, with open interest, I don't actually know when these were traded or what the trade setup is. I don't know that. But what I do know, I don't know, and maybe it's an algorithm too, like I have no idea. But what I do know is there is expressed interest. People are finding that those strikes are going to be important for whatever trade setup they placed. Maybe it's an entry, maybe it's an exit, I don't know. What I care about though is that people are paying attention to this level in an extreme way, more so than the average, which generally says to me that we can either get price pinned at that level. So pin is an options term used where stock price kind of sticks around a certain level. And oftentimes wherever the highest level of open interest can be a really interesting place for it to pin, to get stuck. And if that layers in with helping me, I don't care if SPY goes through 350. I don't care if it goes higher than that. I don't even care if it goes to 350 because I'm not going to set a profit target that big. What I'm going to do, I'll show you my profit target here in a second, but what I'm going to use on an options chain is recognize, is there anything else in here that might help me with my decision that lines up with my charts? Now, will I ever only trade this trade setup because there's a really high level of open interest? No. Will I only ever trade the SPY trade setup just because the charts look good, but the options chain doesn't? No. This probability of success increases for me because I have the options chain and the chart lining up really well. I want to have evidence in both of those two areas to place a trade. And while we don't have time today, because there you go, time is so efficient, collecting evidence from different places is a way to mitigate some risk or to attempt to increase probability of success. But it's kind of not really talked about in textbooks. And that's why I think if you're always looking for a new trade setup or a new person to follow, or how are you improving your skills, I do think it's important to be in part with somebody who is actually trading every day, because sometimes it's the things you learn in the field, on the go, that are those nuggets of gold that you need. And so if I read your textbook, and it said, well, what is risk and what is probability? You're not going to get into a conversation about how do we layer in the more evidence we have that it's all supporting a trade from different places generally means that it's a better probability of success. Whereas you might just read, oh, well, in your Greeks, your delta alone can help you with the probability of success of your trade by recognizing where you are on that. And then it's linked back to the pricing of the option, and then it gets really, really complicated. But I think it goes back to the same adage of anything. If you're building a case because you're in court, if you're trying to win an argument with your husband, it's all the same thing. We are collecting evidence from different places, putting it together, and that's how you're coming up with your assumption. And I think that you can just increase the probability of any trade setup by trying to gather evidence from more than one place. It's not about getting into a debate about fundamental and technical analysis. I think it's just about how can we be as straightforward as possible, is simplifying it. This is the same as our life. What are the skill sets we use in other places? How can we layer this into trading? And it doesn't have to be overly complicated, but at the end of the day, it's nice to be able to collect evidence from more than one place. So I have to have both. The more I have in both places, the better. That can influence the contract size I have, obviously, but that is what it is. Okay, so I haven't talked to you about profit target yet in SPY. How do I come up with that? Of course, my answer is going to be, well, you want to make as much as possible. Everybody does. But it's a fine line. It's again with your time. And I'm going to give you my point of view. You can hold a trade for a month's time, or you can place several different trades. And the beautiful thing about how brokers are now set up with zero commissions or very little commissions, regardless of where you go, you now have that ability to make sure that you're cashing out your profits and you're putting your profit in your pocket. And you can do that more often without having to be as concerned about where the commission for the trade is going to impact you. And that's a huge advantage for us as retail traders. And so I have always done this, but I used to have to pay more to do it. But I liked the security of putting my profit in my pocket more often in a month rather than holding a trade for a longer period of time. I find that by placing multiple trades, so by doing the SPY trade, I will generally do it every week. Sometimes I do it more than once a week. But I'm always looking to cash out when I have a pop in profit. So in order to come up with a good level of profit, I always want to think about how long have I been in the trade, how much money have I risked, and what have I made on the amount of money I risked. And this is, I think, where people, when you're trading, you kind of get into this idea of, well, I need to make $100 per contract, or I need to make $200 per contract. If you risked 50 cents and you made $100 of profit per contract, that's an exceptional return. And you'll be able to do that. Everybody can. But if you risked $1 and you made $30, you've now made 30% on your risk. Again, that is exceptional. That is better than any fancy mutual fund that anybody, that any high fancy investor does for you. It's, I think, always important to think about how much money are you putting in to a trade, how long have you been in the trade, and what kind of percentage. If I can make 20 or 30% off a trade and I've done that in less than 24 hours, I would rather take that off, put it in my pocket and do it again, just to make sure that I've cashed in on the profit when I had it. Because the worst is when you trade and you think, this is fantastic, I have so much money. And then you let the trade go for another day and then it's all gone. Especially right now in the markets as they are. I mean, one tweet changes everything. So I think that there's a big part of it. And I guess that's why for SPY, like I trade it every week. Once I've hit, so generally I'll set my profit target within my average to range. And once I kind of hit that, I will exit it and move on. And I'm happy to trade it again the next day, but I've just put some in. So I'm going to kind of segue to the importance of the average to range for me. So some pieces on the charts that I think are so incredibly important is your average to range linked to your net change. This is going to stop me from getting into trades. This is going to help me with my loss, a risk when I need to exit a trade that doesn't work. And this is going to help me with my profit target. I always want to trade in a way where the stock itself, the net change, is less than the average to range of that individual stock. I want to make sure that I'm hitting my profit target also within that. So if I buy a call and SPY for $4 and the average to range is $6, I'm not going to try to make more than $2. Does that make sense? It's just a math game. Why? Because your average to range is how much that generally has been moving. And I want to set my profit target within a zone that would say, if as long as it moves on average, I should hit my profit target. That kind of makes sense. Again, it's simple. I generally trade, as I said, the SPY trade out the following week. I'm usually out of the trade. I've usually hit the profit target within 24 to 48 hours. So there's usually time to do the trade setup twice a week. I just don't always have the time to get in front of the computer to do it, but it's there. So just trying to be real here, showing it, still trade. We've come back from a little bit of profit. This thing, I think, in terms of management, this looks really great still. There's really no resistance, and all we're doing is kind of moving sideways, which I actually think is just reaffirming the strength that we have. And I will continue to hold that position as it looks like it's really fine, poised to move higher. There's really nothing here. If we break down below 340 would be I'd have to pull the parachute. I always call it you're exiting gracefully, but that's kind of where I would set my target there. Now, the other piece that as I'm moving through charts and looking for different things to trade, I'm always looking at where is price relative to support and resistance, and how do those look at the time. So something like Apple, I thought this morning I was in my trading room. I didn't get to finish my trading room because I came to talk to you guys today, but I had said, let's look at Apple a little bit later today, because what's nice about Apple is average to range is 3, so we're moving. We have a nice trend here on the weekly chart. We have price that's popped up, which is good, but there's tons of room to go here in Apple without any bit of resistance. Now, we haven't set up yet. I don't think there's an entry at this point, but I think it looks good, because I want to be very aware of that price on a daily chart is very close to support and resistance. All right. This is good stuff. Okay, so what we did today is we reviewed SPY that I actually have on right now that I trade a lot. And I gave you the exact details of how I like to trade it. And if you are in my room at You Can Trade, you will see me do that. And I talk about it a lot because it's fantastic and I love it. The times I haven't got to yet. And the times that I like to trade depend on the trading style. If I'm going to place a day trade, I'm going to place that trade between 9:40 a.m. Eastern to 9:50 a.m. Eastern. It's only a 10-minute window for a day trade. Why? Because I want the first 2 5-minute bars to show me where the market's going. But what's really important to me is what happens to the market after 10:30. And I find my sweet spot for trading is right around 11 a.m. I've seen the market open first thing. You usually have the market pull back in the opposite direction sometime around 10. Between 10 and 10:30 is usually a lull in the market, and this is where you'll begin to see the real move for today. As that real move begins, that's where I want to trade, which puts me trading generally around 11 a.m. The other reason why I trade around 11 a.m. is because it's the time I have always been able to dedicate to focus on learning the most that I could about that time. It's when my girls napped, when they were babies. It's when I've always zoned in on it, and that's where I continue to trade today. That's my favorite time of the day to trade. A lot of times, because the moves already happen in the morning, things are already going, I'm just jumping on the bandwagon. I'm not guessing where something's going next. I'm jumping on the bandwagon of the direction it's already going that day, and I'm placing a trade in that way. So I have spoken to you a lot about the trade setups that I like to trade, and that's just one. I want to be able to offer something pretty unique. And I actually, when I suggested doing this offer, I totally got a bit of pushback at the company, but I'm going to do it for you. One, I believe in women and wealth and your ability to be able to do this yourselves. The only way that people can do this is if we break down the barriers and help people learn the skills. So I am offering a pretty significant promotion for you today, which is access to 2 of my options courses. Each one of my one course is a Start Trading Options course. The second course is a Trade Accelerator course full of trade setups, the trade setups that I'm using and have used for years. It talks about trade management. It talks about setting up a trading plan. It talks about entries. It talks about, just like it gave you a SPY, a procedural way to set up your trade setups. And I'm sharing you all of mine. And that's in both of those courses. Normally that one course, if I offer a promotion, I will offer a promotion for it for $1,000. But instead, I'm offering 2 of those courses for you for the same $1,000. Will get you both courses. I want to acknowledge that people here might be at different stages in their learning to trade options. And because of that, I want to give you both the foundations you need about learning the good stuff, the practical pieces about options trading, and all the trade setups and all the stuff you need. My course is, I have a master's of education. I have been trading for a very long time. I am known for my courses because the way that I teach is clear. It gets rid of the stuff that you can read in a textbook, and it gets right to the meat of the actionable items that you're looking for when you're trading. So regardless of whether you're new or you've been trading for a long time, you are going to see tremendous value in the courses. I also believe, seeing as I have a master's of education, that I want you to learn, but I also want you to be able to see other traders. At You Can Trade, we value how you getting that opportunity to look over someone's shoulder and to see exactly what they're doing. Sharing our screens, sharing our entries, sharing text trades. So if you don't have the time to be in there during the day, you just get text alert. In fact, most of our members at You Can Trade actually just get the text alerts, and they find that more than pays for the service. However, I am going to also put into the package the 2 courses, but a 30-day free trial, no credit card, just free 30-day trial of all of the coaches at You Can Trade, not just me. So of course I want you all to come to my channel, but there are other coaches on the channel as well. I think we've got more than 10 other coaches that you will have access to see all of them. You can pick the time that works for you. You pick the asset that looks for you. You can watch all of them if you want. You can get all of their text alerts if you want, and their entries and their summaries. You can peg them against each other if you want. we're all really nice people at You Can Trade as well, and that's really important as coaches. So I'm going to give you that as well as the promo, and that also gives you texting to get all of the trades. And the only thing I want to forewarn you is there's a lot of trades. So when you sign up for this, you want to make sure you are choosing the coach that you want to get text alerts from. Sometimes people sign up for this and they're like, oh my gosh, these are way more trades than I thought I was going to get, because you get a lot. So just make sure you pick who you want. If you want all of them, great. If you just want some, that's fine. If you think about what kind of trader are you trying to be, or are you, and then you want to make sure you link up to the coach that works for you. Our all access pass on You Can Trade is brand new. We only just launched it this week. And so this is where the pushback came, because I said, this is brand new offering. Why would you give everybody 30 days free to this? Because it's brand new. So I'm only doing it for you. And this is involved in this package. So for $9.97, you're getting 20 hours of course learning. You're getting live trading happening every day, all day, in all the asset classes you could imagine, and imagine seeing all sorts of different trading styles, from quant trading to stock trading to options trading to futures trading, day trading, swing trading, long-term trading. There's a lot of different opportunities available for you, all at You Can Trade. All right, I want to give you guys an opportunity to be able to ask questions. I'm going to turn my earbud back on so hopefully I can hear, and leave the door open here for you to ask me some questions. So what questions might you have, and how may I help?
Sure. Now, Sarah, this is Raleigh. I was taking a note of the questions as they were coming up, and I thought it might be easiest if I just fed those to you.
Oh, sure. Thanks.
Sure. It makes it a little bit easy. So a couple of things that were obvious to people that were impressive. Your emphasis on work-life balance is something that really struck people. I mean, the real aspect of that, and you sharing your background and how you have to juggle your tremendous responsibilities as a professional and a family, was not lost on people here. So that was really neat to see your perspective on that. Your transparency and the way you conduct yourself and you share the trades and things that you're doing, and the services you offer, were also, several people commented on how refreshing that was. Also, people also like the fact that you shared those specific rules that you follow. I mean, it's a very rules-based program that you have. You know exactly what you're looking for in a setup. You know exactly where you would enter, et cetera. Not much variability there whatsoever. And so that led to the first question was, how long did it take you personally to evolve your approach to where you are today?
Okay, I should also preface that I always have coffee. that's how you make it actually happen. Okay, so that's a really good question. I mean, how do you get to like a level of a trading plan or performance that you're really looking for? And it does take time, but when you find something that works, you repeat it. When I first started trading, I didn't have very much money, and so what I could do then and what I could do now is also different. And I think I'm trying to be very aware of that when I'm trading, so that everybody can kind of see there's different trade setups, different way to do it depending on what you have. I think you need to apply any trade system, whatever it is you're doing. You want to see it through an entire year. Now, that's not what people are wanting. They're wanting to say, you can do this in a week and you'll be great. Yeah. But things can work in a week. Like this SPY trades, I mean, you can see it work. You can see it work for a month. But the market moves in cycles through the year, and you need to be able to have a trade setup, I think, that works when the market is trending, when it's transitioning, when it's moving sideways, when it's not moving. You've got to have tools. And so you want to be able to test those setups in the multiple variables of the market.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's a great answer to that. And I just wanted to come back. The thought is that for your perspective, you've been a professional trader for a long time. You didn't arrive at this strategy overnight. This is something that you evolved over time. Was this a several year journey for you to get where you are today?
Like specific to this SPY trade app, or altogether?
No, just the strategy that you're using to trade the market as a professional.
Well, I guess of each one of the trade setups, I'm not sure I'm answering it right, but with each setup, once I find something is working, I'm always testing it. And I'm not back testing like with fake data. I'm like testing it in the market.
Right.
And once I start to see repeatable patterns, then I start applying it and saying, okay. And then I take at the end of the month, so I have this, it's cheesy, but it's like I don't know chart, 3-column chart. And what in this setup worked, what did not work, and what do I not know about yet?
Sure.
And I track it. And then the better it gets, the faster I'm going to be at throwing out the stuff that doesn't work and making it work. Like, so building up this SPY trade setup, probably took me a month or two. I can't even remember. I've been doing it so long. A lot of the stuff I've just been doing a long time and I don't remember. But test it every month, test it again.
And it has stood the test of time, essentially.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Sarah, the other thing is this, I also noticed, once again, you're trading on the TradeStation platform.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a requirement for your course, or can people trade on other platforms? Is there anything specific that they need to be aware of as it relates to applying indicators and things of that nature?
No, you can do anything. In our trading room, we have people of all the different platforms. The nice thing, if you do use TradeStation, is I can send you my workstation all set up and you can just put it in. So plug and play. I didn't talk about my indicator. I do have two, but I guess I just always preface that you can absolutely trade off my indicator if you want to, but I want you to feel how good it feels when you find your own trade. So I'm always talking about how do you build your skill set to find the trade, and you can use the symbols or the scanners as like a backup, and that's there for you. That is in TradeStation if you want actual just scanners.
Okay, excellent. Some other questions that came in. I like this question. Lillian said, how do I reduce my cost to place a trade on SPY? For example, let's assume I would feel more comfortable risking less than $100.
Yeah. So lots of different ways, obviously. And one, SPY is super expensive right now. The trade I placed today at $4, I normally, when I started trading this, was about $2. I would never risk more than $2 on the trade. Volatility is what it is. So the way that I would do that is switch it up. Instead of buying an at the money call, buying a target. So my target call, which is another trade setup I discuss in my courses, which would reduce it by about half. So that's really what you'd want to do.
Okay, great. Meg asked a question. He says, can you quickly go over that example again when you were talking about the net change to the ATR?
Yeah, so the net change is what's in my radar screen, and the average to range is how much the stock moves. And I want to compare to see how much the stock has moved today, the net change, to how much it moves on average, the average to range. And within that is golden nuggets of information to help decide, is there enough room that day in the stock to move enough for me to make money based on how it moves in the average to range.
All right, excellent. And one final question that came from several people, once again, watching closely your trade, they were wondering, do you use limit, exit, or trailing stops when you place trades?
Yeah, no, I'll limit. When I'm ready to exit, I will just go out and exit the trade. I don't use a trailing stop. And that's also just so when I can be more authentic that way, people can know exactly what I got out of when I text it out.
Sure. Outstanding. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for your time and for leaving your live trading room a little early to spend time with us today. It's been great to get to see you and get to know you personally, and we're delighted that you were a part of this Women in Wealth program that we have. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. And I'll let you know at the wine tonight how this trade does. How's that?
Yeah,
that sounds great.
We'll see you later tonight then.
yeah.
Great.
And let's remind everyone that Sarah is going to be here. Go ahead and put questions in at now. We're going to compile all of those, and it's going to be a great informal session. So be sure to stay on for this evening, and we'll see you soon, Sarah.
Bye.
Outstanding. Thank you, Sarah. So there you go, folks. Sarah Potter, what a terrific presentation from Sarah, sharing her experiences and how she trades the markets and the company that she works with there. Her special offer, Start Trading Options, and her Trading Accelerator course had the two courses plus that 30-day all-access trial. Works for beginners, intermediate, expert traders, options, swing traders. Plus you get access to live coaching, real-time trade alerts. YouCanTrade.com/women in wealth. Please check that out and get some more information. Wow, what a start we've had today, Pat, with Hema and Sarah. I mean, I feel like a rocket ship. We've just taken off the landing phase and we're going up. But before we get to our next speaker, we have a special event here, don't we?
We do indeed.
It's time. It's quiz time. Everybody get ready to put your answers in. First person to get this correct will win a $100 Amazon gift card. Pretty cool.
Outstanding. So are we ready for that first question?
Ready? Let's do it.
All right.
Who is currently the world's highest paid female athlete?
Ooh.
Athlete? Little typo. Athlete or athlete?
Oh, Effie.
Got it.
That's me, folks. I typed that slide. That was my mistake.
I think you're doing good there, Raleigh.
I already got an answer.
We did?
Yeah.
Where is it? I don't see
Oh, I saw it
How
here.
come I missed it?
And
Oh,
it's in the
there we
other
go.
channel.
Okay, let's see. Kyra, Amelia, congratulations.
All right.
Let's go ahead and see what that answer is. Naomi Osaka, tennis, 37.4 million in the past 12 months.
Good heavens. And how old is this tennis player?
She's relatively young. My guess would have been Serena Williams. So that was a pleasant surprise. But that's what's fun about these quizzes, because we've got great trivia to take away with you. You can use them tonight at the Women in Wine. You can share these. Did you know?
Trivia we have tonight after that wine gets flowing.